Allow me to begin at Genesis. I don't know what Eve had planned. Cast away.
Anyway, that's a live rap battle site. Pretty cool. But back to what we got to learn. So, completing the square. That's what we're talking about here. Now, there's just a bunch of steps that you have to remember how to do to complete the square. But first, let me go into a little talk about what completing the square is and why we do it. This is our first real lesson on quadratics. Now, a quadratic is anything in the form of x squared plus bx plus c. All right, that's a quadratic, and it has a squared in it. That's what makes it a quadratic. Now, there's three different ways to solve a quadratic. The first one is factoring. Okay, we could solve it by factoring and setting to 0. Now, I know you guys are masters of that, so I didn't put it into this packet. The second way to solve a quadratic, if you can't factor it, is to complete the square. Alright, and that's what we're about to learn now. This is how we solve quadratics, and this is a quadratic that needs to be solved because it has an equal sign in it. Alright, needs to be solved. Right? I'm trying to figure out what I have to plug in for x to get this equal 0. So I can complete the square. It's another way. And the third way to solve a quadratic is the quadratic formula, and that is for your next lesson, okay? But really what I want you to take away from this is that there's three ways to solve, and if you can't do this, you can always complete the square to solve or use the quadratic formula. Alright, those will always work too. So you have three techniques for solving for x. So how do we complete the square? That's what we're really asking ourselves right now. Well, there's a few steps, and if you follow it step by step, you'll do fine. So please just follow exactly what I'm doing. It's the same every time. The first thing we're going to do is add the c term to both sides, okay? That's the one without the x. So we're going to start with adding that over, okay? So that goes away, and we get x squared plus 10x is equal to 11. And notice I left a space here because I'm going to do this, and you should both be doing the same thing, because we're going to add something or complete the square on both sides. The next thing you have to do is fill in what would make this into a perfect square. And the way to do that is take your b term, divide it by 2, and square it. Well, what's our b term in this case? It's 10. So in this case it's going to be 10 divided by 2 squared, which is equal to 5 squared. 5 squared is 25, so let's add 25 to both sides of this. Alright? Now this makes sense. What are two numbers that multiply to 25 and add up to 10? That's right. That'd be x plus 5 times x plus 5, or another way to say that is x plus 5 squared. We just completed this square. And on the other side we got 36. Alright? Next step, we're going to take the square root of both sides. We're trying to solve for x, and to get this squared out, we're going to take the square root of both sides. Okay? And when we do that, we just get x plus 5, the squared goes away, equals positive or negative. Well, in this case, the square root of 36 is just 6. Finally, to solve, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides, and we get x is equal to negative 5 plus or minus 6. And why is there a plus or minus? Well, it's because there's two roots, right? So it's x1 and x2 could be two different things. We could do negative 5 plus 6 or negative 5 minus 6. Well, when we add them, we get x could be either equal to 1 or x could be equal to negative 11. Alright, those are our two possible solutions. And what I'd like to do right now is just check. I think it's always a good, see like if we actually even got this right. So what we found is that when we plug in 1, this whole thing should equal to 0. And let's check that out. Let's see if we actually did this correctly. Well, we get 1 squared plus 10 times 1 minus 11 equals 0. Well, 1 plus 10, 1 squared is 1, plus 10, sorry, let me make a little room over here, minus 11 equals 0. 1 plus 10 is 11, minus 11 equals 0, and sure enough 0 equals 0. So this technique does work. Well, let's get a little more practice on this. Let's do one more, alright, just in case you're a little confused. I know there's a lot of steps. It's always exactly the same. For this one, we're going to start off with adding the c term to both sides, okay? add it to both sides. I know this is thrilling you right now. We rewrite it as x squared plus 8x plus, remember, leave that space there, equals 20 and plus. Next step, we take our b term. So remember, to get whatever we're going to fill in here, it's going to be b divided by 2 squared. Our b in this case is 8. Remember, it's just what's in front of x. 8 divided by 2 is going to be the same thing as 4 squared, which equals 16. So 16 goes on both sides. From here, well, let's see, two numbers that make positive 16 and add up to 8. That's just x plus 4. A little tip for you who are watching this video, it's always just going to be whatever this number is. So that will always go here. Alright, whatever your b divided by 2 is. Alright, x plus 4 squared plus, oh look at that, it's 36 again. From here, we take the square root of both sides, take the square root. That gets this to go away, so we just get x plus 4 equals positive or negative the square root of 36. X plus 4 equals positive or negative 6. Subtract 4 from both sides, subtract 4. And so we get our two answers are going to be x1, x2. Sorry, this is going to be, follow me up here before we split it. This is going to be x equals negative 4 plus or minus 6. So let's rewrite that. That's negative 4 plus 6. That's negative 4 minus 6. And let's see, we get 2 for this one and negative 10 here. So those are our two solutions. Easy as pie. Alright guys, that's it for today. And remember guys, 8 hours of sleep is essential for good health and mental stability. I swear that to you.